This newly updated Hunt of Void build makes you the tethering god once again. With the new changes introduced with the Edge of Fate, Bungie broke the majority of our builds due to the changes to his stats, but also due to nerfs, buffs and reworks to certain parts of all builds. So today we have a newly updated Hunt of Void build that restructures our build that we had previously to work currently with the new changes that tagged along with the Edge of Fate. Now there are two routes with this build today, but both will achieve the same outcome. You can either go with the Prismatic subclass using exotic class items, or the Orpheus Rig, or you can go the Void subclass route to achieve the same thing. Our goal with this build is to ensure that we have faster supers, that being our tether, strong ad clear through volatile rounds, and strong survivability, which will be from Devour, but also through having infinite invisibility. All of these goals can be achieved by using Prismatic or Void as your main subclass, and then combining them with either Orpheus Rig, a Falcon's, a Graviton's Forfeit, or an exotic class item. So this build does have a lot of variety and flexibility when it comes to perfection of this build, but on top of that, we are not relying on any artifact perks, so this build can be used in any season moving forward, assuming no changes are made to the core design of the build. It is worth noting though that the exotics we are using are not featured exotics, so we will not benefit from the new gear bonus of that piece of gear. But guys, with that said, gear up, because this is a build that you really don't want to miss. Okay guys, real quick, I don't usually talk about other games much, but there is one that I've been diving into lately that takes buildcrafting to the next level, and if you stick around until the end, you'll be walking away with a ton of free stuff, because right now, new players get 1 legendary and 2 epics by just using my link or scanning my QR code. You'll get Drake, and later unlock Mausoleum Mage, both solid early game champs, and yep, you can play on PC or mobile with AAA graphics. The choice is yours. The one thing I really like about Raid is how much content there is. No matter what sort of player you are, there's always something to be doing, from the campaigns to dungeons or even events, and there is just a lot of variety to choose from when it comes to building a champion that fits your playstyle. Of course, I gotta show some love to my new favourite faction, the Barbarians. They are brutal. Unlike the noble Bannerlords or the mystical High Elves, the Barbarians embrace brute strength and are loyal to their clans. They have strong damage, they have debuffers and support units for both PvE and PvP. The ones I love the most are Sky of the Drakes for her revives and stuns, and Tuheneric for cleansing and blocking debuffs. She's just amazing for keeping your team alive in the tougher fights, and they look pretty awesome too. So guys, what are you waiting for? Click my link or scan my QR code to start with Drake from the Lizardmen faction and a bunch of other goodies. But you'll also get another starter pack with the Mausoleum Mage after reaching level 15, and on top of this, new players can pick from 5 promo codes for legendaries. You have Green Warden Reworked, Alice the Wanderer, Tuheneric, Fallen Forebeard, and Sun Wukong MONKEYKING. I would go with Green Warden Reworked. He's just a beast in long fights and can really carry your team. But remember, 1 code only and valid 48 hours after downloading from my link or QR. Once you're in, come and find me under the name Divide21 in my Divided World clan here, and let's raid. Okay, now getting back into the build, the first thing I want to look at are the changes to the stat system. So obviously with the new stat system in place, we are required to have our stats at a set level to match the previous system, but also to counter the change to Gambler's Dodge. Because with the Edge of Fate, the Gambler's Dodge no longer refunds the melee when dodging near an enemy regardless, so now it requires your stat to be above 70. Since the build is focused around generating faster supers, but also getting invis almost infinitely as well, the 2 stats that you want to prioritize with this build are the super and class. The issue with this though is that with the Edge of Fate we cannot specialize in both stats, so it is one or the other. The Paragon armor allows you to focus the super and melee, and the specialist allows for the class and weapons. So instead of getting super or class to 200, which I recommend not doing, you should instead focus on getting the super and class stats both to 100, which both can be achieved easily with 2 pieces of armor from each category. Since the bonus from 100 to 200 for super increases the damage, and the class grants an overshield, both aren't massively affecting the build, since our super is primarily for ad clearing and debuffing, so you're not using it as part of a major damage cycle, so getting stats higher than 100 are not ideal, as you can spread those stats to other abilities of your choice. You do want them at 100 though, so that you can maximize the energy gains. When it comes to the energy gains, a tether on its own will generate around up to half of the super pack, assuming that you kill an entire group of major ads, as an example here, and this is with no exotic armor, so that means you can use any exotic of your choice with this build, if you want to. But for the preferred choice, I recommend using an Orpheus Rig, since with this on, you can actually generate an entire super pack fairly quickly using it, so having Orpheus on means that you'll generate multiple supers quickly, before the previous one has even expired in some cases. Although bear in mind that this is more effective when you have more yellow bar adds. So basically using this in harder content makes the build perform better if you think of it like that. For your class ability, we will be able to get invis almost infinitely by just nosediving to the ground for a longer lasting invis charge and dodging to refresh that invis, but also give us our melee invis charge back. And because our class stat is at 100, it means that we'll get Gambler's Dodge back very quickly to then get the free melee invis charge again, and it just loops like that. Assuming your timing is perfect, it's almost infinite invis on its own, not including the orbs that we pick up and void breaches and stuff like that for extra energy. So with this build we are getting faster supers, but also a very high uptime on our invisibility. Now basically the way you would use this build is you would start by running in and using your super on a group of tough enemies. You'll then kill them ideally with a grenade to grant yourself volatile rounds with void weapons, and then from there you'll just kill enemies with volatile rounds, generating orbs of power and void breaches, and a lot of the time you'll get that super back extremely faster than you would usually. In a real world scenario where you have a ton of ads shooting at you with champions roaming around, is effectively the same situation, tether and grenade, but you'll always be able to take advantage of the infinite invis to get out of a sticky situation and prepare for any issues like an unstoppable charging you. So while everything is tethered and you're invisible, you can focus your priority on what needs dealing with first. A lot of the time when you have so many enemies in that room that overwhelm you, you're just gonna simply get that tether straight back regardless. Now there are a few different ways you can go about making this build. You can use Prismatic if you want to, it's basically just this setup. The only thing with this is that you're using Stylish Executioner for invis, rather than having the invis on demand whenever you want. So you'd be relying on killing debuffed enemies to go invisible, which isn't always great, but Prismatic does give you more flexibility since you can mix up the build slightly and also go Transcendent. But for this build setup today, we are going to use the Void subclass as a dedicated Void build with the Shadowshot Deadfall super. Since we're using Orpheus Rig, what this does is provide ability energy for each target tethered by Deadfall, so I'd recommend using this exotic since it helps to get the supers back faster, and as long as you pull off a good shot, it's pretty much infinite supers. In the subclass, make sure to run a Gambler's Dodge with 100 class stats so that you can get the melee ability back when dodging, and in fact it isn't even dodging near an enemy anymore, it's just now dodging in general. But for the grenade, it is your choice, but I'd recommend the Vortex one as it's just far better to kill enemies with. And then for aspects, we have Trapper's Ambush so that we can go invisible with our melee by diving to the ground, really love that ability, and then Vanishing Step so that dodging makes you invisible. Since our class ability stat is going to be high, we will get this back so quickly that anytime that you need the invis, you'd likely always have it. For fragments though, we have Echo of Reprisal, so final blows while surrounded grant super energy. Echo of Cessation, which is purely for generating void breaches from volatile rounds. Echo of Starvation, so that picking up orbs or those void breaches grant Devour, and Devour will just help give us health from kills and grenade energy to re-trigger volatile rounds. And then the last one is just Echo of Instability for that exactly, so grenade final blows grant volatile rounds. So just make sure that you're using void weapons that is strong against minor and major adds, so you can kill enemies with volatile applied to those weapons. With the artifact perks, this is the full setup, but there isn't really anything benefiting us, so you can use this build in any season and just buff it further with any new artifact perks that we do get. But for mods, you want to prioritize generating Orbs of Power and getting your class ability back faster, so as long as you can do that, you'll get infinite invis and faster supers, if not infinite as well. So it is just a pretty solid endgame build for the Edge of Fate right now. You do have other alternatives that you can use with this build, like the Graviton Forfeit for improving invisibility effects, but I just don't think it's really needed, and you also have Falcons to make volatile rounds become more consistent, but if you use this, then you're better off swapping to Prismatic or just using Stylish Executioner as your aspect. But again, it's not really needed, and you'll just overall benefit far better from Orpheus Rig for faster supers. You can use my dim link over on my Mobilix page to set this build up, so definitely check that out if you need extra guidance on getting this build ready to use for the remainder of this season. But this is probably one of my favourite Hunter Void builds out right now for Destiny 2 The Edge of Fate this season for Season Reclamation. If you guys like this build or found it useful, then a rating is much appreciated, or feel free to check out some of my other builds in the playlist down below, as you might just find your new favourite build. But guys, that's all I got for you today. Thank you all for tuning in, and don't forget to check out Raid Shadow Legends by using my link down below so that you can take build crafting to the next level with a ton of bonuses to get you started. I've been Divide, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care guys.